Hello, hello, sweet souls, and welcome back to another episode of It's All Happening. I feel like I say this probably every conversation that I have, but the level of excitement that I have to have this particular conversation feels brand new. It is with someone who is so near and dear to my heart, who I have gotten to watch like in the full transformation and blossoming into the offering of the medicine that she is and that she now holds. And we're touching into a topic that I feel like I know so much about, but also have so much to learn. So it's so fun to be able to drop in with somebody who is a master sound healer at this point in her journey. So without further ado, welcoming Jaime Kline. She is the founder of Satya Yoga and Wellness. She is a master sound healer, a dear friend, and like I said, a woman who I have just gotten to witness move from the depths of her own healing journey into shining the brightest light in offering what her soul came here to offer. And yeah, with that, I'm just going to pass it to you, Jaime, to introduce yourself and your heart and your work here in the world.
Oh, thank you so much. It's like such an honor, and I feel like a long time coming. Um, yeah, so I mean, all of the titles, right? So yes, my business is Satya Yoga and Wellness. The word Satya, meaning truth in Sanskrit, really holds a lot of weight for me. Really wanting this business that I'm building to really be founded in my own truth. um, I am a 500-hour yoga teacher. I'm a master sound healer and a Reiki master. And I'm also the vice president of operations at an aerospace technology company. Such a dichotomy of my world. And I'm super excited to talk about sound healing, which has truly transformed my life. Yeah.
As it usually is, the things that transform our own lives that become the medicine that we are meant to serve here in this world, right? I want to talk, I mean, we're going to get into all things sound, but I need to touch into the importance of that dichotomy that you just spoke to, of holding this expansive reality of both being a healer in the spiritual and energetic realm and also still wearing this like badass corporate hat and the weaving of those two things into one another. So I guess the kind of question is like, how do you hold it all? And speak to that role for a moment. How, like, I know
Yeah,
that's where
sure.
your roots are and where you have been for many
Yeah.
years now.
Yes, over 2 decades. So I have a bachelor's and master's degree in mechanical engineering. My dream as a child was to work for NASA. I was a 13-year-old kid who was able to attend space camp, and I was hooked from that very instant. And got the degrees, and was a practicing engineer for NASA, working on many programs like Hubble Space Telescope and James Webb Space Telescope, just to name drop a couple. About 15 years ago, I forayed into leadership, and that's where I've been for the last 15 years or so. It's really a lifelong passion, and I think as a kid, you see kind of all this, I don't know, the shiny stars of what this career could be. And it's truly that. I work with some of the best engineers and scientists really in the world. And every time there's a rocket launch, or every time I see a spacecraft, reach their orbit, it's really inspiring that I get to play a smaller role, an even smaller role now because I'm in corporate leadership, but still a role. And at the same time, there are some less than glorious parts of it. The aerospace industry is very much a male dominated industry. And I find that women who are ambitious, go getters, who want to compete at the highest level, we're working really hard to compete for maybe what is 10% of the available positions for women in this work and leadership. And so it has come with some real challenges. And to all of your listeners, like, this is how Molly and I met. Was because I was going through what is probably the dark night of my own soul, in a challenging aerospace transition where I was fired from a position after harassment and threats. And while I still love everything having to do with outer space, it made me really consider what were my goals. And I think that is kind of where all of this was birthed, is like, how can I connect with what is true and honest to myself? And after a lot of reflection, realize that me climbing that ladder wasn't necessarily for myself. It was for some hypothetical external you should do the following. And so there's been a realignment. And yes, I'm still doing that work, but now I'm doing it my way.
I love that. And what I was thinking about as you're sharing this part of your story is, so I walk a lot of women through those transitions, right? And ordinarily, I mean, it's so common to see this like complete dismantling of what was before to step into the truth of the reality of what is now, that I'm being true to my soul and I'm following this calling and I'm offering medicine out into the world. And what I find so inspiring about your journey is that, like, you stayed true to the love and the passion that you do have for the role that you were playing in the work that you were doing prior to finding the passion of helping people heal through sound, and just holding that dichotomy of, I get to be all of this.
Yeah. And so, to answer your question, how do you hold it all? It is probably the number one question that I get. How do you hold it? How do you do it all? And I wish I had a better answer. I don't know that I have a great answer, but I do it because it feels purposeful. It's out of purpose. Even in my aerospace work, and I don't want to like oversimplify or kind of like shine up the challenge and the trauma that I experienced, because it was really difficult, to the point that I wasn't sure I was going to get myself out of it. Like, I was in such a depression, but I did. And now I've have this, like, it feels like this purpose of merging what has become true purpose in sound and sound healing, to help people find their own truth, bringing that into an industry that desperately needs it. And so that feels very purposeful to me. And so that's how I hold it all, because I feel like I have a purpose to teach the new generation of leaders how to have compassion and empathy, which is often missing.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was so much of your own compassion and empathy that even allowed you to get to this space where you get to needing to offer it to yourself first. I mean, I witnessed that firsthand before you get to offer it out to others. I'm curious to know, I want to get into the sound healing stuff, and like, you've become a master sound healer.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching you catapult, like, literally talk about rocket ships, like rocket ship this business. What felt like for me out of like thin air, of just with this pure passion and purpose for service, and for that purpose that you're feeling of not just bringing empathy and love, but healing to a society that really needs it, and to do it in a way that I find that sound healing, and I want to hear all about your perspective around this. It's this really beautiful, accessible, understandable, even though it's unseen, way for people to receive healing from a realm that's like so full of choices, and so full of like very esoteric, hard to understand choices, where sound healing, I have witnessed, feels like this beautiful avenue that like levels the playing field for, you don't have to know anything about anything in the spiritual world or in yoga or in being on a spiritual path to hear a singing bowl and be like, that feels really good.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot there. Uh, sound healing, yoga. I mean, I find that sound healing to me is just another branch of yoga. And yoga really, over the last 7 years, has really transformed my life. I mean, incrementally. Like, it's a journey. It's not suddenly like now I'm a completely spiritual person. I feel like there's a journey and that ebbs and flows. But coming out of that really difficult transition in my aerospace work and not really knowing who I was, because I was really wrapped up in my work. Like, that was who I was. And if I wasn't that, then who was I? I came back to yoga and then eventually sound healing, actually eventually is really quickly, kind of invested in a training. And, talk about accessibility. I wanted to help people meditate. And meditation can be so unapproachable. We get so frustrated with ourselves when we're can't sit still. And experiencing a couple of sound baths and realizing how quickly I could drop into a state that I had not experienced before, where the way I like to say it's like a cathartic exhale for the entire system. And it just happens naturally if we allow it. And that accessibility was really important for me to really help people drop in and find rest, down regulate nervous system, because the world is stressful and we might only get that 1 hour to say, okay, it's time to pause. And so I did a training. I trained with Susie Marco Shefflin, who is known as the Copper Vessel. She's a world-renowned sound healer. And it changed my life. Susie then invited me after that training. It was a 3-month program to be in a year-long business mentorship with her. And that was the rocket ship, I think, that really helped solidify and really help cement, okay, we're going in deep. And like, are we going to do this? We're going to do this. And every time I would offer sound to people and I get the experience, the feedback, like, I went somewhere I've never been before. I got to see my grandmother. I saw little me. And I was able to find peace in that healing. Like, that just to me says, go deeper, learn as much as you can about this work, because unlike any other modality I teach, and I adore yoga, I really do, but this has had a transformative impact on my clients. And so we've gone deep, and it keeps growing.
Yeah. I feel like sound healing is one of those things that, how you said, in a society that is primed for stress and constantly
Mm-hmm.
going, and it might be this 1 hour that is the only time that you get to actually fully surrender into rest that isn't sleep, right? Like, we think
Right.
of resting as like, I'm going to go to
Yes.
bed at 9 o'clock and that's when I get my rest, but
Yes.
like active, conscious
Mm-hmm.
rest, and the way in which the frequency of sound bowls can just bring you to that state. How you said, like, yoga was such a massive part of your journey. It was a massive part of mine as well. But I think in the way that Western yoga is sometimes served up, it's easy for us to get stuck in the perfectionism and am I doing it right? And we're still being very active. Like,
Yeah.
there is rest at the end, right? When you hit that shavasana and you're like, oh wow, I did all that work to land here and I do feel peaceful. But that's usually what, 5 to 8 minutes, where I have found sound healings is it's an hour of that
Mm-hmm.
feeling without having to move through the struggle of like, where is my perfectionism showing up and how much do I have to move and how much do I have to push to allow myself to receive that. Um, so I'm curious to dive deeper into, like, my explanation of sound healing is just like, just listen, right? But I want to hear from your depth of education. Like, what is it that the frequencies of these bowls are actually doing to our brains
Yeah.
and our bodies and our cells?
Yeah, I love this question. And it's really, frankly, where I kind of geek out, because we're going to talk about science and I love science. So this is, again, the merger of my two worlds. So, what I like to say a sound bath is a deep listening experience, a meditative experience where specific frequencies will harmonize or entrain with the body and mind, creating an environment for deep relaxation, energetic release, and rest. So there's a lot to unpack there. But ultimately, we're playing these amazing instruments, which I have some of my singing bowls behind me. And they produce certain frequencies that, played in succession or in tandem with each other, help the brain entrain to a harmony. And what happens scientifically during a sound bath is the frequencies, depending on what I'm playing, could help you shift out of beta brainwave state into alpha or theta or delta. And so what that means is that the brain is shifting from an active decision-making state, fully conscious but not at rest, into a state like alpha, where it's more like daydreaming. And so completely conscious, but you're kind of in this, like, I kind of think about, like, I'm starting to think about maybe my summer vacation while I'm washing the different dishes, and I'm like I've gone somewhere, but I'm still conscious because I'm still doing stuff. So that can totally happen. Theta, brainwave state associated with deep creativity and focus, but also REM sleep. So it is very common that participants in a sound bath will actually take a little nap because we are chronically under rested, and you can really get a lot of amazing rest during, while you're in theta. And then delta is really the magic. That's where the magic happens. Delta, the lowest brainwave state, where deep meditation and the opening of the subconscious. And so in that brainwave state, people can experience visions, kind of connect with their inner child, and really have a profound experience. And so there's all these like spiritual aspects of sound healing, but there's also these real world aspects too, where, there's enhanced creativity and focus, better sleep. I've had a client in Baltimore who's had tinnitus for 12 years. And she came to a single sound bath session with me, and one of the frequencies rewired that electrical circuit in her brain, and she doesn't have tinnitus anymore. And I mean, and so now she just comes for a tune-up, basically. She doesn't have to come every week. She hasn't had a recurrence of it. And so, some experiences might not be that concrete or tangible, but certainly all transformative.
Yeah. And I think we're in this time right now where the collective is kind of being invited into this felt sense of healing and this felt sense of resonance in experiences like this, beyond the very tangible or needing this concrete, like the tinnitus going away, right? And I hear stories of that all the time inside of sound healing experiences. And I believe, working in the realm of energy from the perspective that I do, that when we can get ourselves into those brainwave states, and how you said it can allow the nervous system to feel safe enough to release contractions or patterns inside of the body that you've been holding on to for years, decades, lifetimes, right? That's where those kind of like miraculous healings happen. And there's a sort of magic to the fact that we haven't been able to complete. I mean, it's happening. We're watching it happen in real time, even knowing what we know now about the different brain waves and how these resonant frequencies create this pattern inside of the mind. But I think there's a sort of magic to just owning the experience that happens for you as an individual when you allow yourself to surrender into an experience such as this, simply just from, and like, I'll go back to my explanation of sound bowls, it feels good. It feels good to my brain.
Yeah.
It feels like my brain's getting a massage.
Oh, those are perfect words. I might borrow them actually. Like, I like to explain, like, this mental strain and tension that we often feel, but we don't really know what's causing that. Is it always there? But I know what it is when someone describes this mental strain, this like almost like the brain is constricting. And I find with sound healing, suddenly there's like a loosening of the grip. Suddenly we can kind of let go into this state of surrender, knowing that I don't have to be good at anything. I just have to let go, which might be the most difficult part, because we are gripping all the time. And so, when I'm leading a session, I'm often, talking with my clients prior to a session about what is this work? How does it work? We practice a little breath work to kind of prime the system. Okay, this is a chance for me to let go. But yeah, there is some magic to this work and how it works as long as we're open to it.
Yeah.
And that is really, how do I convince others that, like, this is safe, and this might be the magic to help you really let go of the gripping of the stress of our lives.
Yeah. And to help you, I mean, so many people, I'm sure you meet so many clients that, like you said, struggle a lot with meditation and the perfectionism that comes alongside meditation. Of I've gotten so many times from clients I begin working with, and I know, I'm like firm on my, like, you need to sit and you need to meditate for at least
Mm-hmm,
5 minutes a day. Give me that much.
mm-hmm,
And so many will get really caught in the, like, I'm bad at this, like my brain just, I can't do it, I'm not good at it, it doesn't
mm-hmm,
work for me. And there's
mm-hmm.
that threshold that I think the sound bowl, that I know the sound bowls allow, they kind of push past the frequencies that are coming, push past that noise, and it's like it almost gives your brain something to focus on so that the
Yeah,
thoughts can clear. I'm curious for you to sort of explain that from your more
yeah.
studied
I mean,
perspective.
like anything, I feel like, the sound now becomes the focus. And, when I'm trying to explain sound healing to someone who's never been to a sound bath before, I often actually just use Western music as the experience. I'll play a couple of different songs and I'll ask them, what do you feel? Like, what is that embodied, like, visceral feeling that you feel when I play a song like Pharrell Williams' Happy,
Mhm.
right? And you immediately want to get up and start dancing, and it immediately evokes the emotion that is the title of the song. And then I play what I've been using for the last 2 years. I probably should find something that's more current, but what was I made for? Right. And a lot of my clients are women. And, that song in the Barbie movie really evokes, almost a sadness, a melancholy type of feeling about, like, again, what's our purpose here? Why am I here? And clients feel that right away. They understand, okay, I love music, and I've got, like, the typical genre, whatever that is. Maybe it's jazz, maybe it's rock and roll, maybe it's rap, whatever it is, but I resonate to music, to sound. That's all that sound healing is. It's music. We're just organizing some notes together and we're playing some frequencies that I know will do something to the brain. And I think when people, again, when you can kind of bring this work to them in a way that they can understand, it doesn't feel so unapproachable and so woo. I am not a woo person. So my feet are firmly planted on the earth. And that has a lot to do with my corporate work. But I also believe in the science of intention, right? And if we can intend, hey, I'm looking to get some rest here, or I'm looking to connect with my heart because I've been feeling grief, and I want to heal that. If we can bring that into a session and stay open to it, there's a lot of magic that can happen in a single session.
Mm, so
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know recently that you have branched your business into helping to distribute bowls as well, right?
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
talk to that about a bit around. So I offer sound healing as an aspect of my energy healing. I'm by no means a master sound healer. I mean, I have been eyeing your sound healing program, and one day we will get there because I do feel like it's a really important tool as it comes to the kind of
Mhm.
energy healing that I offer. But I know that there are different levels and qualities to the bowls that you play and the frequencies that they offer. And I would love to just hear a little bit from you about how you got into such a depth around the, like, quality of the bowls and the quality of the sound and the quality of the tone and what you're doing in that realm now.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much there. And I definitely want to talk about the program too, and why I think, going to a credible source for training is so important. But so the singing bowls, I got hooked from the beginning. My teacher, Susie, she uses alchemy bowls, and the alchemy bowls, some of my bowls are behind me. So Crystal Tones is a US manufacturer of crystal singing bowls. They're located in Utah. They're 100% manufactured and sourced in the US, so all of the quartz crystal comes from the United States, and they're really the highest quality singing bowl on the market. um, Most people go to Sound Baths and they might see a white kind of frosted, um, it's not quite opaque, but it doesn't have this kind of shiny, like this bowl here, shiny surface. And they're foundationally quartz crystal too. And so quartz crystal is really the foundation of all alchemy bowls from Crystal Tones. But what makes these alchemy bowls really special is, one is the quartz is highest quality and very pure. So it's 99.997% quartz. So very high quality, very pure. And then they alchemize the bowls with other elements like other crystals, precious gemstones or metals, earth elements. And so if I can point, that guy right there is ruby and gold. This one over here, it's a partner, is morganite. And so every single one of the bowls has an alchemy unique to itself. And there's not two bowls that are exactly the same, because you have a different note, a different tuning, and a different alchemy. And they're all, the processing is all very unique for each bowl. And so, these bowls bring in their own energy. And so when I play this set at the top, this ruby and the morganite, it's really the energy of love, and bringing in the energy of ruby, bringing in the energy of morganite into my session. These bowls like to make an appearance around Valentine's Day, or when I'm doing cacao ceremony, because I really want to intend these feelings of love and compassion, of empathy, self-love, and we can really connect with them. They're also very beautiful. And so because they're like artwork, they really are artwork, people are really drawn to them. They want to know more. They ask questions all the time about, tell me about your bowls. How do you play? What's in this bowl? I'm looking for, to connect with the throat chakra, or, I'm looking to improve confidence. Like, do you have a bowl that does that? And so that helps to make each session unique, because I can bring specific bowls into the sessions that are going to match with the intention that I'm trying to set for the clients. Yeah, they're really special.
That just
And
blew my mind, the idea of like each, like there are no two that are going to be exactly the same. And it brings on the like, I'm going to speak to the more like woo spiritual energetic side of all of this, because that's where I live my life. Um, the idea that the instrument almost like chooses the healer, right?
oh,
And
yeah.
that
Mhm.
then the people who are called to work with that healer, very similar. You see this a lot in herbalism as well. Like when somebody's called to herbalism, they'll have like their handful or of plants that are like, those are the ones that they work with the most, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And that those frequencies, those energies choose that healer. And then there's also this connection to who the people are who the people are that are going to come that need to receive that medicine.
Oh, yes. So choosing your singing bowls is a very personal, intimate process, because there are a lot of options. And if you go online and look at Amazon or look at one of the music stores, that you're missing that energetic connection to the bowls that are become extensions of your hands. Really, they're your healing tools. And so when I'm working with a client, and they're interested in working with me, or just want to purchase their own singing bowls for their personal practice, we're going through, what are the options, what are the systems, what are the tunings, the intention behind the tunings. But then we're, what are you trying to intend? What feels resonant to you in terms of energy? And how can we find the alchemies that are really going to match what you're intending? It's very personal. And I really feel like clients, they need to really take their time and kind of sit with what is it that I want to bring into this healing space, whether it be for me or for potential future clients, because I want to make sure every decision is so intentional in how I bring this work into the world. And so, the first step is really picking your bowl babies and figuring out what is the set that's going to help me bring this work, either to myself, my friends and family, or to my clients, in a way that is very intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. Very intentional and very intuitively unique to them as well, right? I
Yes.
think about, I've been deeply interested in sound healing for a long time now. And I was at a point about a year ago, I think we talked about this when we were getting ready for you to come on the podcast, where I was just in like a depth of my own shit and depression and walking through a little
Mhm.
dark alchemy moment for myself. And so I bought a set of bowls, but I wasn't going to invest a ton of money because I had no idea what I was doing. And I'm just going to start playing and start seeing, how do I feel like in this space of not only receiving sound healing, but offering it to myself and playing and getting to know
Mhm.
what it is to kind of be behind the bowls. And I feel now this greater sense of, as I expand in that skill or have this desire to expand in that skill, there was the, not that it wasn't intentional, but a disconnection of just like, I'm just going to quick buy the whole chakra healing set and I'm going to play with this. And it's like a starter thing. Right.
Mhm.
And then as you evolve in this work, there being such a beautiful process to pouring a lot of care and attention and intention into the, really, I look at it as like the band you're putting together for yourself of what your unique sound is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of a one-man band, really a one-woman band, I guess. Often I have clients that say, did you play that? Was that recording? I'm like, nope, no recording. Because I do have other instruments that I do bring into my sound healing work, not just the bowls. The bowls are the foundation, and it's where I begin and end, pretty much every time. But there are other instruments too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important that, again, kind of coming back full circle to the name of my business and why I'm even doing this, is intention and purpose. What am I trying to bring into my life first and foremost? What is this for me? And everything that I'm doing now, first and foremost, is, does this resonate, no pun intended, to me? Is this aligned with how I want to live now? There's kind of this line in the sand. It's like we talk about the pandemic, post COVID and pre COVID, and like there's this like valley, this gulf between those two times. I kind of feel that way in that time of my life when I had this reckoning in my corporate work. And there was before that time and after that time. And now after that time is like, how can everything that I do, one, be of service to me? And that starts with the bowls and the instruments that I choose with such care, um, and how I want to use them. And then how can I carefully, hold space for anyone who wants to bring this work into their lives for whatever reason, hold space for them as you know, there's questions and, they're not sure and they are an investment. And how would I sell this work if that's the choice? But how do we hold space in such a way that really lifts them, that they feel like they have a friend holding their hand, and it all comes back to being of service. And so there's plenty of time that I walk through this process with clients, and there's no pressure either. We when I'm guiding clients, in a purchase, um, it's like we buy the highest quality we can afford because there's always abundance. It's there. It's there. If we intend for it, it will happen. And we make a plan. I love structure, so we make a plan, but we do the very best. And we try not to go overboard too, right? As a student of this work, we can get really attracted to having all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they are tools. It's really the work itself that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we take it very carefully. I don't think I mentioned, but I am a partner with Crystal Tones now. And so this is an expansion of my business that is very new, but very exciting. And of course, it makes perfect sense.
Of course, right? And that
Yeah.
branches me into wanting to massage into your sound healing certification. This like thing that came into your life that so deeply healed you, you felt so resonant with. And it's this beautiful arc that I love to watch individuals go on from I'm so called to this thing for my own healing, and then the deepening, like the full circle hero's journey of how this
Mm.
healed me, what I got to become on the other side, and now the offering I get to pour out into the world, not only in the spaces of holding sound healings, which that in and of itself is like more than enough service, right? But then I feel like we become so abundantly filled up with the energy of service that it's like, how can I create an even bigger ripple effect? And I know that you are making a massive one in training other people to master this medicine.
Yeah. The certification is really a labor of love. And so during that mentorship that I did with my teacher, I built this program. And, you know, it is focused on sound healing, but it's sound healing plus, plus, plus. It's focused on leadership, and how to hold space for other people, in whatever people are moving through, healing and trauma and all of the things. Um, it's about meditation, and it's about energetics and energy, and it's about science. And it really is, I almost feel like it's like the culmination of like my two worlds in a program. How do I bring leadership and structure and business, and how do we operate, all of these things that I've been doing so long in my aerospace work, and how do I bring that together with this artful, creative, healing modality of sound? And that is what the Alchemy of Sound has become. It is my 100-hour sound healing certification. It's a 3-month program, in a group cohort format, and it's fully immersive and comprehensive, so that when clients come in, at the end of their certification, they have a signature offer that is priced and ready to bring to the world. And we talk about, day one, they're playing crystal bowls. Like, that's why they come. They want to play these gorgeous instruments. And so day one, we're talking about crystal singing bowls, the history of sound healing, and crystals, so that they can start playing right away. And we move through denser modules like science and music theory, which is probably, the densest of the material. And then we move to the softer side of art, holding space and creating ceremonies, and facilitating group and private sessions. And I feel really called to include meditation in this certification, because it's what brought me to it. I want people to know how to credibly write and offer meditation, deliver meditation that is paired well with a sound healing session. And so we talk about meditation. It has grown. It started as a 60-hour certification, and already in 2 cohorts, we're at 100 hours.
I'd expect
Um,
nothing less from you.
I know. I mean, I just keep adding and adding. I bring in guest teachers, sound healers, but also, someone I really look up to that is an expert on yoga energetics. She comes in and does a whole module on energetics, because this is energy work, of course. And we just really experience the full spectrum of sound healing, how to put together a program. But it really starts with the client, like the students. They're all coming to this work like I came to this work, looking for purpose, looking for, like, okay, maybe my career isn't what I thought it was going to be. Maybe I'm ready for a change. Maybe I'm getting ready to retire from my primary career, but I want to do more. I want to give back. And they're coming searching for something. And so we spend a lot of time in the certification on ourselves and really exploring those parts of ourselves that we avoid. And often it's where, middle of the program, there's some resistance that comes up because the program has a lot of requirements and we have to navigate life as we're doing it. And to see in a 3-month program the arc of the evolution of the individuals that take this program, but then the bonding of the cohort. Um, this is my why. It is transformative for me to witness it and to be the guide. I'm so honored by every woman, every client who has chosen to take this. Yeah.
So powerful to witness, and it makes me reflect on my own journey. And every time that, and I'm sure you will resonate with this, anytime I've signed up for any kind of certification or deepening into some level of skill or something that I felt I had interest in, or something that my soul just felt pulled to in some way, and it's like, yeah, you're going to get the certification and you're going to create the offering and you're going to be a well-rounded, well-studied sound healer.
Mm-hmm.
And really, at the end of it, it's who you got to become throughout
Yeah.
the journey of that, and what that version of you then gets to stand embodied in and offer back out to the world through the creation of the offering. And it's so full circle for me to sit here witnessing you after everything I witnessed you move through in the transformation of self and the coming home to self. That you said that everybody comes and they're searching for something. And newsflash to anybody listening, it's always ourself. We're always searching for
Yeah, of
ourself.
course.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
think you're searching for a sound healing certification, and you're going to get that. You will get that. But
Right.
it's always yourself, and the beauty with which you have taken such a dark and painful experience
Mhm.
and transmuted it into, like you said, so much purpose and power, and that ripple effect. I mean, I get the greatest joy out of watching women that I've worked with where, like, that was just like a moment in time. Like, I dropped a pebble into an ocean, right? Or into a still lake, and just getting to continuously watch, like, the pebbles that you're throwing out into this lake making waves now with
Oh,
the coming from that seed of that transformation that you got to experience because you were willing to turn in towards yourself. And that's not easy to do, right? And just
no.
nodding to all of your students who come and do the same, right? It's like, and I think sometimes we think we're getting into one thing, and then you're like, how you said, there's some resistance that comes up in the middle of the program because you think you're showing up for one thing, but you're getting handed something very, very different, specifically when it comes to stepping into the role of offering some kind of energetic soul healing medicine out into the world.
Yes, to all of that. I mean, I don't really feel that I could credibly offer this without having gone through that experience, because I feel like understanding kind of the roller coaster that is human emotion and how any one person is going through stuff, and being able to speak so authentically from my own heart and experience, and almost, I don't want to really say that like I'm this like shining example, because that's not what I mean, but like just be able to demonstrate the possibility of it. um I, going through that time and working through it, like I said, was, I think, arguably the hardest thing I've ever done. And it, and while, the person that said what he said to me and threatened me and ultimately had me fired is a horrible person. But at the same time, I have so much responsibility in how I conducted myself, and where I put so much priority on climbing the corporate ladder and kind of releasing so much external expectation on myself. And I feel like that's where I am now. It's like the only person in all of this truly that I need to kind of be okay with is me, you know? And if I'm showing up authentically to my clients, and I know that, like, and I feel that that's embodied, then I know that I'm being of highest service and good for them. And I want them to know that it is so possible to be dealing with something like grief or hurt or trauma or transition or whatever it is, and also be able to help other people too. Because I think we're always doing that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This work just expands your capacity to be in all of that. That's what, I mean, you know, this. One of the deepest
Yeah.
things I teach to all of the women that enter my world is like, we're never going, unless your soul's path is to be the yogi in the cave who
Mm-hmm.
lives in a state of meditation, we are always going to be inside of this human experience. And what this work really does is just expand our capacity to be with all of that without making it mean anything about ourselves. And as you speak
That's
to
right.
and kind of come full circle back to your origin story of getting onto deepening onto this path and
Mm-hmm.
making it a part of your purpose. And it's so interesting and so synchronistic. I've had a couple of conversations in this exact same realm literally today about finding, like, you know, that the healing has become so embodied when you can find a sense of gratitude even for the people who
Mm.
played the role of villain in your story, and for those moments that shook you to your core and felt like a tidal wave that you were never going to make your way out of, because, like, look at all the beauty that literally would not have been birthed if you didn't have that soul shaking experience.
Uh, yeah. Didn't think I'd be there 2+ years ago, but yeah, thank God it happened.
Yeah.
Thank God it happened, because I feel like I would like had blinders on.
Mm.
Like I was like doing all the things, and getting that external gratification, and showing my worth, right? Having to be validated basically by other people. And so do all the things, climb the ladder, get the next title, do more, do more, do more. And it all came crashing down. And, so did what I thought was my self-worth. And I'm like, well, this, this can't be it. And so thank God it happened, so that I don't put my worth in that anymore. Um, yeah, I'm still good at my job. I still am doing really well. Last week I got a promotion. Great. But that's not who I am.
Mm.
And thank God it happened, because I still have a long life to live, and I want to be awake to
Mhm.
it all. I really just want to live unencumbered,
So beautiful.
free,
Yeah, free. That's the word,
free.
the liberation that can only come from those moments, from those life
Yeah.
shaking, soul shaking, complete demolition inside moments that happen. And it's not to bring like a necessarily like making light of those moments either, but to, like you said, stand as the embodiment of what gets to be possible when you allow yourself to turn towards instead of turn from, and keep reaching externally for those things that we've been taught that are supposed, like we were taught
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
climbing and the external success is like, I was just writing about this today, that like you'll get there someday, keep going, you'll get there someday, but so long as you're focusing on someday, it's always someday. Like it's never today, except for those fleeting moments where you accomplish goals but you're so primed to not even be able to luxuriate in that or experience it fully, because it's we're so primed for someday. And
Yeah.
that this work that you're offering, literally down to the reality that the tangible evidence of this work is, it literally brings you into the present moment. Like these frequencies, you can't help but to just be in the present moment inside of your
Yeah.
body and meet with whatever wants to come up along that. And it's just so powerful to get to sit in this seat, to get to witness you as, yes, as a student and a mentee that I had, it's been years now, right?
Hmm.
And also as a friend and just a woman who is the example of, I think, what so many women are coming up against in our modern society, for the expectations that were placed upon us, and the masculine ladders we've been taught to climb, and the kind of setting to the side or ignoring of this feminine wisdom that's starting to come back online. But something that I really admire you for is staying true to the like passion and purpose and like go-getter attitude that you have on that masculine side of things. There's been a couple of times throughout this conversation where you were like you were describing your process and your sound healing
Mhm.
experience, and it's like, oh, that's the integration, right, of the masculine and the feminine, and the weaving of not needing to be all this or all this, but the dance of both.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and it's something that I've had to work on. And I was thinking as you were speaking about, this need for validation, and that it was really built out of my own lack of like loving who I am, and who I am is this structured, more masculine, go-getter type that's who I am. Like, I'm not going to change that's just who I am. But then can I find those places where I know that I'm softer too, vulnerable, and being vulnerable has been a big task of mine to really show up. And of course, how ironic that it's those vulnerable moments when I'm either connecting with clients or friends or whatever, or even having a moment where the vulnerability kind of smacked me in the face. But that's when like there's so much healing that happens in those moments. And, I thought that was weakness to be that way.
Mm,
And so I really feel like there is this I don't know, this synergy between the masculine and the feminine, that it can be both. And
mhm,
I don't have to be all one way. I don't have to be only the other way. That I can bring in my strengths and also, you know, be vulnerable and say this is the area that I'm still working on too.
mhm, mhm. I'm thinking, as you said, that you once felt vulnerability to be a weakness. It's like bringing
Hmm.
your strengths and also like bring attention to weakness that then actually just becomes more strength.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's the thing that I come back to. That vulnerability is actually the knowing, the inner knowing. When I can tap into that, um, that's when I know I'm kind of leading from my heart versus my head.
Mhm.
And that has really made all the difference for me. It's not always easy, and I'm most certainly still working through my own challenges. And the masculine dominant energy likes to rear its ugly head at usually the wrong times, um, and that can be off-putting for people, unfortunately. And it's something that I have to continually work with. But I think that in this work, when we're all, when we're showing up to do this healing work, we all recognize that we're all on this journey trying to figure it out. And we're trying to do the best that we can with what we've got. Yeah.
100%. Like we're all just walking each other home. And I think there's like so much strength and power and leadership in being able to recognize like this thing that is such a strength can also be a weakness, right? This thing that can be so light and powerful can also be heavy and dark, and that there's a shadow side to literally every aspect of ourselves. And it's in the witnessing that and the expanding our capacity to witness that in ourselves. And then that's what gives us the space to be able to hold the space for other people to witness it in themselves, which is what coming to a sound healing gives the space for people to do, whether it be that they just fall asleep for an hour or they touch into the recognition of something that is meant to be seen so that they can find more lightness and liberation in their being. And they're really being such a beautiful opportunity and possibility for that every single time you lay down and allow yourself to receive.
Yeah. I think that's it. Like, can I give you can I help facilitate, not give, but help facilitate a moment of clarity where you feel free,
Mm-hmm.
free of the obligations that our society puts on us, that we put on ourselves, and know what it's really what it's meant to feel like to just be tapped into who we are. Um, Again, I feel like this work does that better than, I don't even love that word, but does it in a way that is so nourishing, without ego, without a competition. Um, it's just show up. That's
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do. Just show up, and these gorgeous instruments will do the work.
Yeah. That's what I think is so powerful and so different about, like I kind of said, the buffet of options, that there are some modalities that it is easy to get stuck in ego, or
Yeah,
like, am I doing this right? Am I doing it good? And the reason I say that I think sound healing is such a beautiful entry point into this work and this level playing field for anyone everywhere is because you don't have to do anything. Actually,
that's
you
right.
just need to try, not even get better at not doing, just allow yourself to show up and be, period.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people ask, "What do I have to do when I bring? I can't touch my toes." I'm like, "You're just gonna lay down.
Yeah,
You don't even have to bring a swimsuit. There's no there's no bath. There's no water. You just lay down. That's it."
literally.
Um, and like, it's such a novel idea. Like, people are like, "Really? Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it. There's nothing else to do."
Hmm.
Um, and for some people, it takes a few times, like, to allow our nervous system to let go,
Yeah.
because it is not typical. It's something that we don't experience that often, and so we have to get accustomed to it too. But the work and the magic still happens, even if there's a little bit of fidgeting and I'm not really sure how to be settled, and it's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
All of
And as
it. Yeah.
frustrating as that can be, that's also like, I say to everyone in my healing experiences, in any ceremony, in a sound healing, it's like, you're going to get exactly what you're meant to get. And if
Oh
that
yeah.
is that you are in your head and fidgeting and thinking that somehow you are doing lying down wrong, like, that's what you're meant to experience in that moment. And just like keep showing up if it's feeling
Yeah.
resonant and it's pulling you forward, like not allowing those moments to hinder you from
Yeah.
continuing the journey, because that's exactly what it is. Like you said, I mean, in no matter what the modality is, no matter what path you are on, it is an ever evolving journey that requires, I mean, I'm going to bring it back to words you've heard a million times, like the grace, grit, devotion, all of these words that I have perpetually used as it comes to anybody's healing journey, of like, it's not just this one and done, but this evolution of self that allows you to hold space for the evolution of others, if that happens to be your calling. And I just want to honor and give so much reverence to the way in which you have not just grabbed onto that journey, but like flourished through it, truly.
Done it exactly the way I was gonna do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I'm really grateful for it all. I mean, I don't really think, I don't know what it was. It was in, I think, November, um, that I reached out to you, and I anticipated the reckoning, I think, but knew that there was a massive misalignment in my life.
Hmm.
And then that happened, and I didn't know. And um, I think in the way that you do, never once did I feel like, you know, or did you say, but did I feel like, oh, you should just quit your aerospace work, and like, that's corporate work is stupid or whatever. No, it was a more like, let's go in. Let's go in. Let's figure out and peel back the layers of what's holding you from you being aligned with who you are.
Hmm.
And um, it really was the start of all of this. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you.
Mm. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just receiving that, like, I never, it happens a lot. I invite, I don't, it just so happens to be, I don't know if this is normal for everyone, I only know my experience, right? But like the women that I have walked through a certain level or layer of their healing journey end up in the exact medicine that I'm going to need at a certain point. So like, I'm not joking when I say like, the more interested I get in sound healing, it's like, wow, I helped this woman get to this place where now she has something that I need, and this divine, beautiful reciprocity that happens as we pull the souls that we're meant to be connected with on this journey into our lives. And it really, truly is such an honor and full circle moment to be having this conversation with you, not just about your journey and your work with me, but in your medicine. That's so different from like, you didn't go on to become a psychic energy healer. You went on to become a master sound healer and incorporate this beautiful aspect of bringing business into it and giving people this beautiful permission slip for the reality that they can create for themselves if they're willing to like follow that and do the work that you are offering to them. And it's just, I am also incredibly grateful. It's so full circle, and it's such a gift and a joy inside of this work that can often feel intangible. And I'm sure you maybe remember when you signed up with me, I'm like, I give no guarantee on what's going to happen. I
Mhm.
know the souls that are meant to work with me, and I know that there's an experience we're meant to have, and I know that I have the capacity to hold it, right? Because I've held myself through a lot of things, and I have no idea what's going to happen, but let's plant some seeds of intention and water them and allow them to grow and to be able to sit back. I want to say it's almost 3 years ago now that happened, right?
Mhm. Yep, we're
and
coming up on 3 years. Yeah. Mhm.
and to witness that, like, not only have you gone on an expansive healing journey within yourself, but you became a master sound healer, created a certification program, are hosting retreats. We didn't even
Mhm.
touch into that, but
We did not.
woman is
But it's
hosting international retreats, becoming an affiliate for this beautiful sound healing company, and like all just the beauty that has been weaved. And I want to go back to something you said earlier. I might butcher it a little bit, but this, like, that you stopped trying so hard, grabbing
happening.
on, and yet all of this beauty has just been birthed, and not for lack of action. You've taken a lot of action and put a lot of effort into this purpose, but the blossoming that gets to happen when it comes from this place of alignment versus this place of external validation.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
It is. I am energized. I've been having some, like, the last couple of weeks, I've been like waking up at like 4 in the morning because I'm so freaking jazzed about what is happening in this little business of mine and the clients that are coming and they want to know how, and the work, the ripples are getting bigger, and I feel it. I can feel the momentum, and it's not really about building a business. It's really about service and helping people first and foremost, because I feel like as soon as I attach some like capitalistic like a thing to it, like suddenly it loses its luster. It's about how can I help people. And when I talk to clients, kind of like we're having this conversation, I'm as jazzed, maybe more so, about this work and what it can do for the clients, but what it has done for me.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I offer, I'm also receiving this work. And um, it is, I'm just ready for more. I have some big plans. Of course I do, on what's next and what's coming. And part of that is merging it even more with my corporate work and finding ways to be more impactful there. And it's starting to ripple out, in that way that there is not one way to live this life. We do not have to have a single note, and be identified only with who we are in our career. We can live big, expansive lives in the way, in whatever way that we want to do it, as long as it comes from inside.
Mm-hmm.
Let go of everything else, because I think at the end of the day, we actually all want kind of simple lives.
Yeah.
Love, family, food on the
Fulfillment.
table, contentment,
Yeah.
some joy, and that's what I want for, act two of my life is that,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah. It's like a A new wave of wealth, I like to call it, of like
Yeah.
this wealth that comes from within and the simplicity of the things that we actually want versus the things we've been taught to strive for.
Yeah. 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 And I couldn't do any of this. And I have to give him the shout out because I could not do a single one of these things without that husband of
Yeah.
mine, Matthew. Um, he knew when I started working with you um, that I needed it then. He was very concerned for me when I went through that really challenging time. And he just knows that kind of when I set my mind to things, I just do them. But he's become like my equipment manager. Like he never complains about taking all of my instruments out of the car. And for the longest time, I would buy more singing bowls. He's like, another one. um, Now I'm a partner, so it's like, sorry,
It's not stopping.
it's not stopping now. There's probably gonna be bowls every month now. But yeah, I mean, it's really, I don't know. There's almost not words to really place on how lucky and grateful I am for the people that have been here to help me. I have
Hmm.
not done this by myself.
Yeah. And I think that the work and the journey reignites how you said earlier, kind of like walking through life with blinders on. And I think we can get um, complacent or stagnant or in that gratitude that we have for the beauty that is all around us. And that's something that this healing journey really does, is it reignites this, like, taking the blinders off and like, oh my God, all of this was here this whole time. Right. And I too have a incredible support system in my husband. And I speak to a lot of women who seem to have men that are super grounded in like the material reality, right? And maybe don't even fully understand the
Mm-hmm.
depths of where it is that we're going, but also on some soul level, they know and they hold it and they encourage it and they don't make you feel like weird or wrong or shameful for this thing that you are branching into that again doesn't have a whole lot of tangibility, but that you feel and you know. And there's such a depth to the transformation that it's going to create in your own life. And then I think we also always know from the beginning of the journey of like the service that then we're going to be able to offer on the other side. And not to say that that's what it's all about, right? Like plenty of people, and you deserve to go on a healing journey just for yourself. But even in that, the way that you experience your relationships and you show up at your job and you show up in your families becomes that ripple effect that we're talking about. And it's so much bigger than just building a business or the medicine that you want to offer the world or stepping into being some kind of healer or space holder in some way. That does often happen, but you become that even just in the day-to-day reality in the way that you're getting to exist in existence itself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It is, it all comes back to the purpose and just wanting to really tune into, I often say like, the moment this becomes like a chore, like we're off kilter somewhere, like something's not right. And I think that there's so much to be said about this work just to support being a human.
Literally, first and
I mean,
foremost.
right? Like just to support being a human in a really challenging world, when this kind of work really isn't mainstream. And there are definitely not resources for it. And so I feel like if nothing else, like, and really this is what this was for me to begin with. And then I don't know, I guess my eyes were open to like, okay, there's some potential here to do something. And it really was out of like, how can I help myself heal? How can I help myself heal? And let me do that in my way. Like at first it was like a lot of receiving support and energy, but then it was like, okay, it's like almost like a sculptor sculpting something with their hands and using their hands in a way that helps them work through stuff that they're going through, this is what I'm sculpting.
Mm.
And this helps me on my own healing journey deal with decades of trauma and disappointment in myself, and so I'm using my tools in a way that help me work through it. And so I think it's so important to, try to introduce this, give people a taste of what this work can do so that they can find, it's like a tool. It's a tool in a plethora of tools in a toolbox. It's a tool. And for a lot of people it might work, and for some it doesn't work, and that is okay too.
Yeah.
It's just another tool, but hopefully one that really allows people to drop into a place where they get to know themselves better.
Yeah. Absolutely. My prayer for this podcast is for anybody listening who has interest, has had interest, has gone to one sound healing, has not ever gone to a sound healing, to just like potentially feel that pull within yourself. And if you do, there are so many resources that are going to be dropped in
Mhm.
the show notes of this podcast of how to connect with Jaime, how to connect with sound healings, how to connect with sound bowls, how to connect with an
All of
experience to
it.
be able to become a sound healer if that's what you are feeling called to. And
Yeah.
just knowing that a big why behind this podcast is because there are so many modalities, so many paths, so many forms of healing artistry that people can try on. And as you were talking about the bowls as a tool, I was also feeling this frequency as like the bowls as a toy too, right? Like it's a tool and a toy. Like we get
Yeah.
to play, it gets to be fun, it gets to be just from that place of bringing joy and awe and wonder. And there's so much magic inside of these modalities and these things that call us forward. So just really ending this with that prayer that anybody who does feel interested to follow Jaime on Instagram,
Mhm.
take a look at the links that we're going to drop in the show notes, get connected to everything that she is doing and continuously creating. I have two final questions I ask everybody. You probably already answered the last one quite a few times throughout this, but um, first one being just speaking life into platforming anything that you do currently have going on, any offerings that are coming up, anything that you're feeling really excited about in your world right now.
Yeah. Uh, the big focus right now is Alchemy of Sound. I've expanded the certification to also be a one-on-one mentorship. And so, where we're not just talking about sound healing, you get a sound healing certification from this mentorship. So, we're definitely dropping into that. But also, it really comprises, life. It's life or business, or I have some clients who are yoga students and they want some support. It really can be any and all, and a way to co-create a space that is really healing and nourishing for someone. It's a 6-month program, so that's really exciting because now I'm working in a more intimate container with clients. And then you mentioned retreats, and we didn't really talk about retreats, but wow, retreats are amazing. And I do have a couple of retreats coming up, but the big retreat is my retreat to Greece. Amr goes Greece in May of 2026. It's going to be an amazing Greek island yoga and sound healing retreat. And a retreat is such an opportunity to drop into an immersive experience, for whatever reason. Maybe you just need a break and you really want a vacation, or maybe you want to go a little deeper in your own spiritual or wellness side of your life, or you want to meet new people, you want to experience new cultures. It's any and all of those. And I find that the people that come on these, they don't know each other, and by the end of it they're like a family. And it's like incredible what happens on a retreat. I Greece is a really special place for myself and my husband, and I cannot wait for this retreat. So retreats, but there's lots of goodness. I'm around.
Yeah, yeah, definitely give Jaime a follow. She is constantly coming out with more.
I am.
I look at you sometimes and I'm like, is she like Energizer Bunny? Because I put out one offering every 6 months and I'm like, I'm exhausted and I need to take a year off.
Yeah.
So definitely go and follow Jaime, tune into everything that she is offering out into the world. Absolute final question that I ask
Mhm.
everybody is, if you could give one piece of advice, and I'll stage this question in a way that like really hits home for you. One piece of advice to someone who is maybe currently underneath the wave of a similar tsunami as to what you moved through a couple of years ago that has led you to where it is you are now, what would you say to them?
Mm. Oh, one?
I know I'm like,
One?
you probably answered this question a million times throughout this, but yes,
We have a conversation about this.
whatever comes through first.
Okay. I think the thing that came through first is give yourself some grace. Um, I'm going to say a part two though. Allow yourself to feel it all.
Yeah.
That transformed me to feel the grief. Um, and I feel like almost like I'm more human now
Mm.
because I know how to feel things.
Giving
Yeah.
space to feel. And just to tie this all together with a little bow, if you are somebody out there who does have difficulty accessing your feelings, accessing the capacity you have to slow down to even note what is happening inside
Mm.
of your body, and you have never experienced a sound healing, they are everywhere. Go and find one. Lay your ass down, do a little nothing for a while, and just allow yourself to experience the magic of the frequency that your brain can just immediately attune to, and what can happen for you there, because it is, like I said, a very level playing field. I don't mean entry level in that it's like simple, or once you've gone further on your spiritual journey it's obsolete. It's very easeful to have a depth of an experience in, when sometimes crossing that threshold of really feeling like you are even experiencing anything can be kind of hard. So
Yeah, I love that.
thank you so much, Jaime, for being here, for giving me your time, for being who you are in this world, and perpetually being an inspiration to me in the path of business and entrepreneurship, and getting your message and your medicine out into the world in a consistent manner and in as many avenues as feel real and true and aligned. It is truly an inspiration to know you and to witness you from the place where we started in our relationship to where it is that you are now. I really hold so much reverence for all that you've always been, but really what you've become in the past 3 years and the ripple effects that that's having on the world today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I adore you. And that's it. I just thank you for helping me get here.
Yeah. And thank you all, as always, for being here, for tuning in, for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.